everybody, and welcome to Ross and Wizzy's Fanfiction Power Hour, where I'm Wizzy, and my co-host here is...
Hey, everybody, I'm Ross. What's up?
Yeah, Ross is pretty great.
Yeah, I'm pretty great. You want to know what else is great? Thanks for the segue, Wizzy. I wanted to talk about this. I've been reading the web novel Worm.
Ooh?
It's basically... how do I describe Worm without spoiling it?
Please tell me it's about an actual worm and not like a computer worm or something.
Well, it's not about either of those things.
Is it about the dragon?
No, although there is a character named Dragon in it. It's about a teenage girl who wants to be a superhero, and it doesn't exactly go well, but it's like so fucking good. I have been religiously reading it, quote unquote reading it. I've actually just been listening to the audiobook of it
Wait.
for the past week.
Was this a graphic novel or?
No, it's an online web novel thingy.
For some reason when you said that, I was expecting it to be a graphic one. And then you said audio, listening to the audio, and I was like, oh.
That's strange. I wouldn't mind. Actually, I would very much mind a graphic novel version because that would be horrific, because Worm is terrifying.
Oh, God. I was expecting it to be light and playful.
No, not in the slightest.
From a teenage girl who wants to be a superhero, it sounds like freaking Ms. Marvel.
Let's just say it's more like the ultimate line of Marvel Comics, except good. And it also does what Watchmen does, but better. That's how much I love Worm. I am obsessed with it, and I cannot wait to finish this episode so that I can get back to it.
I thought you said we were finishing this episode quickly because of bedtime.
Yeah, what do you think I'm going to listen to in bed?
Actually, that sounds like the perfect thing to go to bed to. A terrifying novel.
Yeah, it's not like initially terrifying. It's got a lot of build up before some of the more horrific stuff, but like nice. A lot of the characters are all morally gray, basically. All got some deep rooted problems, and I would not recommend this to anybody with trigger at all.
With any kind of trigger?
Basically, that's kind of what they say. Like, there hasn't been a whole lot of sexual assault. There hasn't been a lot of, but other than that,
I was actually thinking that it was going to be something like that.
But there are mentions of it.
Oh my God.
But nothing graphically written down or anything like that, thankfully.
In comparison to the Witching Hour from Femfiction, how graphic would you say it is?
Well, if the Witching Hour is an 8, Worm is like a 20. God, it has stuck with me insanely well. There's in arc 15, because it's split up into arcs, there's a chapter that sends chills down my spine just thinking about it. It is so unnervingly horrific.
God.
But in such a good way. But not a fun way. That is very important. Worm is fun sometimes.
Sounds so confusing, honestly.
Not that. It is. That's exactly why I really wanted to go on this long-winded rant about it. Go watch Worm. I'm gonna fucking talk more to Wizzy about Worm after the podcast because I love it so much. So yeah, that's been my week.
Nice.
Well,
I think something else.
What are we reading?
I think something else that's maybe equally confusing is Sunlight Sliders by Amber Spark.
Oh.
Yeah, that's right. We're continuing Sunlight Sliders.
By Amber Spark?
By Amber Spark.
Ooh, cool. I can't wait.
Last time we left off, Sunset was gonna go rescue Twilight from Sombra in the alternate dimension where he destroyed everything, and then she sacrificed herself to save everyone. And now Sunset, ordered by some court, I can't remember. It's the time court, right?
Yeah, or the dimension hopping court, whatever.
Yeah. the interdimensional court that sent out Aeon after them, has ordered Sunset to go stop Sombra. And if she can, then they're going to let her and Twilight live. But then they're going to also get cut off from the Equestria Girls universe.
Which fucking blows. Let's see how it turns out.
Chapter 18. Cover art. Sunset stood in the middle of what seemed like a training ground. Outside of the Accord headquarters, several guards were around her, as well as Stella Nova, having apparently decided to see Sunset off. Whether it was just to make sure she leaves, or because she actually wanted to make sure Sunset was prepared, was something Sunset could only guess. In Stella's hand was a teleporter, similar to the one Aeon used, though it seemed much more simplified, only having 3 buttons on it. After fiddling with it for a couple moments, Stella walked up to Sunset and handed her the teleporter.
This is one of our training teleporters. It's been configured to access only to 3 dimensions. I've set it up so the leftmost button goes to hell. The middle button will take you to whatever universe Tirek happens to be in.
Oh, it was Tirek. My bad, I said it was Sombra.
Twilight's with Sombra currently.
Okay, so I thought so.
Sunset's going to get her, which also would feature Sombra.
Okay.
And the rightmost button returns you here. I expect you to either return here with Tirek or not at all. Don't disappoint.
Nice inspirational speech,
Sunset said with a roll of her eyes. She didn't need Stella to remind her of the stakes. She knew how statistically it was going to end, though Twilight and her did have a habit of beating the odds. She glanced back at Stella as she answered, waving off the sassiness with her hand.
If you want inspirational, Sunset, read a poem. Just don't ruin the chance I've given you.
That's what we should do instead. We should have a read poems podcast where we just read poems.
Yeah.
Why are we doing this? I think everyone could use more inspiration in their life. This shit doesn't inspire me in the slightest.
Who doesn't love hearing hours of poems?
I sure know I do love that.
Yeah, but I only like it when it's like Buddha quotes from AI-generated voices. With that, Stella walked off, leaving Sunset with the guards. Taking this as her cue, Sunset took a deep breath as she prepared herself. She hit the leftmost button and watched as the portal opened in front of her. She let go of the breath and walked through. Upstream error. Sunset walked out of the portal. One of the few times she wasn't just dumped on the ground. Oh, I just remembered. I have to tell everyone. Go into the description and read this fic for yourself. Because we got it linked there, as well as a link for the... I'll explain that part later. Sunset walked out of the portal. One of the few times she wasn't just dumped on the ground. One of the perks of using a tested and calibrated device. She looked down at the ash at her hooves before looking up at her surroundings. In the distance, she could see the burning remains of what had to be Canterlot Mountain. It did still seem to have some structures on it, however, though it seemed miles off, maybe even half a day's travel. She just hoped she wasn't too tired by the time she got there, as she was sure there was going to be a fight. Just as she was about to set off towards the mountain, she hears a pair of voices, laughing, from behind her. One of the 2 voices was the same
Hold the phone. Excuse me, Mr. or Mrs. Cover Art. You can't just do that. Don't pretend like you didn't notice. Just as she was about to set off towards the mountain, she hears a pair of voices. It should be heard a pair of voices. This is in the past tense.
Marks of an amateur.
Mm-hmm. Like arts of an amateur cover art.
Nice.
Yeah, I was pretty proud of it.
One of the 2 voices was the same deep, booming voice that Sombra possessed, while the other one was the same light-hearted and cute voice that Twilight possessed. Sunset raised an eyebrow and started to head in the direction of their laughs. She went around a rock and saw a most unusual sight considering what this universe was considered. Out in front of her was Sombra and Twilight, lying down on a picnic blanket, having a conversation while they drank what looked to be wine and munched on sandwiches.
That is a rather unusual sight for this universe, right? Considering it is hell.
Yeah, it has to be like her personal hell is Twilight getting along with Sombra.
Oof.
Meanwhile, Twilight got sent to the best hell ever dimension. They looked like they were having a wonderful time in the middle of hell. Sunset had to shake her head to make sure she was seeing this right.
And he said, Anna, I thought you said more.
Sombra ended what appeared to be a joke, as both him and Twilight burst out laughing.
Wait. He got you how many magazines?
Twilight asked, still trying to recover from her laughing fit.
Okay, what the buck is going on?
Sunset finally spoke up. Neither Sombra nor Twilight were really surprised she was there. Twilight just looked towards her while wiping away a tear from her eye.
Oh, hey, Sonny. When did you get here? Sombra was just telling me some stories from this Equestria.
That's all you have to say to me? I come here to save you, expecting a fight, cheating death yet again, and all I get is a hey, Sonny?
Sunset raised her voice slightly, even though she really didn't mean to. She just didn't expect Twilight to react in such a nonchalant way. Twilight frowned and her ears went flat against her head.
I'm sorry, Sunset. I didn't mean it like that. It's just like you said when you left. You were coming back for me. I knew you would. You always find a way, Sunset. It doesn't mean I'm not grateful for you coming back for me, or anything. I just knew you were smart and stubborn enough to find a way.
Twilight ended her little explanation with a hug. Sunset groaned.
You're always so hard to be mad at when you always know the exact right things to say.
I know.
That's sweet and all, but you do know that she can't leave. She made a deal.
Sombra chimed in, having let them have their conversation before speaking.
Sombra,
Sunset started.
I know you two made a deal, but is there any way Twilight and I could leave? You know we don't belong here.
Sombra's eyes glowed with black magic as he stomped his hoof on the ground, causing ash and dust to fly about, as well as knocking the two mares off their feet.
No.
Wait, their feet?
Oh, this is the Equestria Girls versions.
Honestly, it might be, I don't know.
No.
He said in a commanding and booming voice.
A deal has been made in my domain. It shall be honored. I shall not be left alone to memories and legend.
Twilight, have any ideas?
Sunset asked, shaking slightly next to Twilight. Sombra's voice sounded like it could kill in and of itself.
Oh, yeah, it does.
What does he actually sound like in the show? Does he actually have a commanding, booming voice?
My crystal slaves.
Dang.
It sounds a bit more booming than that, but
I kind of expected it to be sort of more like an emo guy's voice.
oh, like this?
Yeah, kinda.
Oh, yeah, no, he's nothing like that.
I guess I was just expecting it to be like Shining Armor, but evil.
Well, not
And
exactly.
goth. Was there an ability that the princesses had with like their voice?
Well, they can use the Royal Canterlot voice or whatever.
Okay. I was going to say he had the opposite of that, but I wasn't sure if that was if I was remembering that lore correctly.
Yeah, it's not exactly like an actual thing. It's just them using a very loud voice. So,
Is it mentioned in the show as a thing though?
yeah.
Okay. But it's just not magic or anything?
Yeah. I mean, I guess it could be magic, but I don't think it is.
Can Twilight do it before she's a princess?
Possible, I guess if she shouts, sure.
I was thinking maybe she can do it after she's a princess because she's royal now.
Words to think about.
She looked to Twilight just in time to see her mouth the word legends before her eyes widened.
I think I've got it. If we're lucky, that is.
She stated to Sunset before she stepped forward and spoke to Sombra.
Sombra, I think I might have a solution. What if I could provide you with hundreds, if not thousands, of sunsets and twilights?
Both Sunset and Sombra tilted their heads at her.
What do you mean, Twilight Sparkle? I know not any sort of duplication magic.
Twilight, you better not mean.
Yes, Sunset. I mean the Legend of the Mirror Pool.
Hey, I remember talking about that.
Season 3, Episode 3.
Just enough Pinkie Pies?
Too many Pinkie Pies.
How can there be such a thing?
Because there are way too many Pinkie Pies. There should only be the one, because she's special.
Very true. Can't have more than one element of...
Laughter.
Laughter. I was going to say fun.
No. Twilight, you know how dangerous that could be.
Sunset exclaimed, though Sombra seemed intrigued at the prospect.
So this mirror pool can create duplicates of you too? And then I can keep them?
Twilight nodded.
Yes. You'll never be alone. Ever again.
Sombra took a moment to ponder the deal before nodding slightly.
All right, Twilight Sparkle, I accept your deal.
Sunset leaned in close to Twilight.
Are you sure about this? What if we get separated and we don't know which Sunset or Twilight is which?
Don't worry, I have that covered. Remember the name Tom.
Tom?
Twilight turned back to Sombra, leaving Sunset's question unanswered.
Now you might be wondering, how does Twilight know such a normal human name like Tom? But actually, Tom is canonically a character in My Little Pony Friendship is Magic. He's a rock. Or boulder.
Wait, his name was Tom?
Yes.
Dang, I remember the rock guy, but I didn't remember his name was just Tom.
The rock guy or just the rock?
Yeah, but he's like a guy, right? Like he's a rock, but he has a name. His name is Tom, and
he's not like
he's a character.
Sentient. I guess he could be considered a character, sure.
What was Maud's pet rock's name?
That's Boulder.
Boulder. He's like Boulder.
Sure, I guess. Yeah, sure.
I want to see Boulder and Tom interact in the show.
I'm pretty sure there are probably fan fictions about that.
Yes!
Of course, I doubt we could read those fan fictions on the podcast because, well...
Yeah, descriptions of being rock hard.
Jesus. That's finished.
Okay. Actually, I prefer Finland. Twilight turned back to Sombra, leaving Sunset's question unanswered.
Okay, Sombra. I just need you to lead me to where Ponyville used to meet the Everfree Forest.
If I remember correctly, we're in that spot, actually. As I said, not a lot survived the war. Not even the magic of the Everfree.
Twilight nodded and turned, trotting off with Sombra and Sunset.
You're welcome for that, by the way. I'm sorry.
Thank you so much.
You?
Twilight nodded and turned, trotting off with Sombra and Sunset in tow. With all the destruction, it was almost impossible to tell the landmarks Twilight might have taken to get to the mirror pool in their home universe. Though it did help that Twilight memorized the directions to most things in the Everfree. After about a mile of walking, Twilight found a boulder that seemed to be covering a hole. Tom! Though the only way that she could tell there was a hole was the slight smell of plant life. With the help of Sombra, she lifted the boulder and descended into the plant-covered cavern below.
This is amazing.
Sombra stood in surprise.
I had no clue anything like this still existed in this world.
Thankfully, it still does. Now come on, Sunset. Let's do the ritual and get out of here.
Actually, I think it's pretty funny that Sombra's first appearance was Season 3, Episodes 1 and 2, and the Mirror Pool first appeared in Season 3, Episode 3.
Yo!
Yeah.
They're actually that close together?
Yep.
Perfect.
Pretty great.
Twilight and Sunset walked up to the small pond in the middle of the cavern. They both looked into the perfectly mirror-like water.
Should we do it together or one after the other?
I think the latter, just to make sure nothing bad happens.
All right. You can go first, as I don't have that rhyme memorized.
Twilight nodded and started.
And into her own reflection she stared, yearning for one whose reflection she shared. and solemnly sweared not to be scared at the prospect of being doubly mared.
It doesn't work for stallions.
No! It has to be a totally different rhyme.
Yeah.
Suddenly, another Twilight emerged from the pond, as if she was down there the whole time. This was followed soon by Sunset's clone, having done the ritual after Twilight finished hers. Standing all together, it was impossible to tell who was the real Sunset and Twilight.
That's why Twilight came up with the code phrase.
Okay, reality check. What was Rarity's boulder called?
Why did Rarity have the boulder?
Okay, so she was discorded by Discord. So she was super greedy, and he made her believe that the rock was actually diamond.
And she named it Tom?
Yep.
Okay. How does she know the name Tom is what I'm wondering.
She was discorded.
Yeah, makes sense.
And also there's a pony named Pony Joe, so who the fuck cares?
Pony Joe is a legend, and I will not disrespect him by questioning where he got his name.
Good.
Unfortunately, she got 3 responses with the exact same answer.
Tom.
Now you gotta overlay that 3 times in the editing process, Tom. You know, our editor, Tom.
Oh, yeah, our editor, Tom. Tom Hanks. Thank you, Tom.
Twilight sighed heavily and put her hoof to her face.
Sweet Celestia, can't it ever be simple?
Author's note, cover art stories can be found... Oh, wait, no, this is promotion. I can't advertise that.
Yeah, gross. Yuck.
You can find cover art stories in the link in the description if you follow the link at the end of the chapter from there.
Yeah, we're not going to link that. Are you kidding me? We only link the stories.
Yeah.
Because we're monsters.
But possibly we'll be linking this next chapter separately.
Oh, shit.
As we enter chapter 19, Set Daily.
Ooh. What's
Now.
this? Oh, my. This one I've been dreading for a while, guys. It's a comic. I actually first figured out that there was a comic in this just about a year or so ago. Half a year or so ago. We haven't been back for a year, actually. I'm thinking about it. Wow.
Huh.
A short time. Time is flying slowly, I guess.
That's how I like it to go.
We're probably going to be linking this in the description. The thing is, it doesn't work on FimFiction, but it does work on FimFetch. So we're going to be linking this chapter on FimFetch, I guess.
Too bad can't link the original chapter that had the comic.
Yep. You know what? We're going to do our best to describe what's happening in the panels as well, okay?
Perfect.
Just so that everybody can have something.
All right. Chapter 19, Set Daily.
Tom.
Twilight staring determinedly.
Come on, Twilight. Think.
Twilight appears at the top of a hill, staring down at other ponies, arguing... Sorry, what is that? The sunsets?
Yeah.
Oh, and the Twilight.
There's Twilight, yeah. Sunsets and Twilight.
Something unique.
I'm the real sunset. I'm the real sunset. And then this is, that's 2 sunsets arguing, and then there's this little Twilight here, who happens to be saying...
No, I'm the real sunset.
And this is our Twilight, looking worried.
No, not idea.
She has an idea look on her face.
Sunset Shimmer. What was the name of the blog you told me about many moons ago?
Blog? What's a blog? I am Sunset Shimmer.
It continues as the 2 sunsets and the Twilight argue back.
My stable, Trotter.
Book?
And then we have Sunset looking down and sad. Anonymous.
I didn't even realize that's where this was going.
Aww.
Now Twilight lifts up Sunset to the top of the hill with her magic.
Sorry to bring it up, but it was the first thing that I could think of.
They're nuzzling, by the way, these 2. No, it's fine. That was pretty petty compared to what we're dealing with now anyway.
King Sombra appears out of nowhere.
Well, isn't that sweet?
I don't know who's saying this. I think it's me.
Yeah.
They're like staring each other down. Well, Sombra's staring the two of them down. The two of them are staring Sombra down. There you have it, Sombra. Now let us go.
No.
Next panel, King Sombra's looking mightily over the two of them.
Did you honestly believe I would let you go? You must be more gullible than I thought.
They have shocked expressions.
Well, Twilight has a shocked expression. Yeah, Sunset looks like
right.
she's busy.
What?
Twilight, I have an idea, but you need to trust me.
It shows King Sombra's smirk with a little bit of fang showing.
Nice. Go watch that episode, or listen to that episode, guys. On the count of 3, jump. 1.
All their horns illuminate together.
2.
I think that's Sombra's horn?
Yeah, that's Sombra's horn with the dark magic around it.
Yeah.
3.
And they jump off the hill just as Sombra fires.
Explodes.
Into the water below. Oh wait, did he just explode?
I don't know what actually happened. This
How
is a bit
close-
confusing.
I don't know how close they were, if he was like firing up at the hill at them, or if he was on the hill with them when he just like exploded.
I'm just going to pretend that he exploded.
I like to believe that. They jump down into the water below. Splash!
Sombra does have a bit of a history with being exploded, so...
Wait, he got exploded before?
Dude, I've told you his death like 15 times.
I was confusing it with Discords.
Oh.
I was thinking he was the one who was turned to stone.
I see. No.
All right.
And, yeah, it's a splash, and they're sinking down deep, and then there's a buzzat.
And that's the end of the comic.
Whew! Wasn't that fun, guys? I can
Perfect for a
finally
podcast.
delete this.
Get that off your computer.
I just want to listen to Worm. Okay.
Oh my god.
Oh my god.
Chapter 20 is Dub's Rewatcher?
Our boy?
We just did a fic of his. Theirs.
Oh, man. So that's fun. They go check that episode out, everybody. Half-naked Santa Claus Saves Christmas. I keep saying half-naked Sunset Shimmer Saves Christmas. I don't know why. It's not even sunset.
Wishful thinking.
I hear that.
All right. Chapter 20. Dub's Rewatcher. Upstream ever. Sunset's mind kicked into overdrive as she regained consciousness. She let out a shriek as she sat up straight. She flailed her arms about, feeling her human clothes, the cool soil beneath her. She only calmed when she realized she was on solid ground, safe and away from Sombra.
You're awake,
chirped Twilight from behind her. Sunset turned just in time to receive a crushing hug from Twilight. She groaned in pain at the embrace, but didn't move away.
How are you feeling? Did you get caught in Sombra's blast at all?
Okay, so I guess it was Sombra's blast.
Okay.
Maybe he was like charging up his horn, and then they did something with their magic because they were doing something with their magic too.
Yeah.
And that like caused him to blow up. We're gonna say that for now.
May have been like a protection spell beneath their feet to rocket jump like in the video games.
That would be cool. Yeah. I'm fine.
Sunset said.
Just a little rattled. But what is this place?
The two looked around. The teleporter had thrown them into some sort of forest, its massive purple-leaved trees rustling in the warm wind. Only a minute awake, and already Sunset could feel the humidity seeping into her skin, calling forth a sheen of sweat.
What should we do now?
Twilight asked.
Just wait for the TPT to recharge?
Actually,
said Sunset, pulling the new device out from her pocket.
It's not the TPT, or even the talisman.
Sunset, what is that?
Aeon's boss called it a training teleporter. This is how we're supposed to stop, or at least find Tirek. In fact, the last jump should have taken us to him, but there's no one here. I get the feeling he's kinda hard to miss. I don't know. Maybe the mirror pool caused this thing to malfunction?
Tirek broke out?
Twilight asked.
Oh, goodness. Oh, bother.
Oh, bother, we're gonna have to deal with Tirek again.
Yeah, so we either go nail him or turn ourselves into the cops. I fucking hate the cops.
Hey, cab,
I'm
Sunset
a
all the
rebel.
way. Did she do something to an officer in Sunset Shimmer Orders a Pizza?
No.
Okay. I feel like there should have been officers involved in that one, but...
There should have been, but she was just able to sneak away
Nice.
just in time, and the fic ended before anybody could really call the cops, I guess, so... Actually, no, it didn't. She opened the pizza afterwards, so... never mind. And I'm pretty sure that won't end well.
Sunset put the training teleporter away.
Let's walk and talk until this thing's recharged. I can fill you in on everything that's happened. Who knows? Maybe we'll even run into someone on the way.
She offered Twilight a hand, pulled her up, and the two headed off. The forest stretched out endlessly in all directions, but luckily the ground was flat enough that they could shoot through acres in mere minutes. While they hiked, Sunset recounted her confrontation with Aeon, the loss of their talisman, Tyric's escape, and all about the training teleporter. Twilight just grimaced at each new piece of info. Yet, by the time an hour had passed, with civilization nowhere in sight, neither girl could keep from marveling at the universe they had fallen into. Unfamiliar birds sang overhead, and alien insects scurried underfoot, teasing the scientist inside Sunset like glints of gold in a riverbed. And although purple dominated the landscape...
Right, so Sunset actually once upon a time ate a scientist.
I knew it!
It's complicated.
She's such a monster!
No, you don't understand. There was a very good reason for it, and I don't want to spoil it because it's a very good storyline, but...
It sort of turned her into Bruce Banner?
Yes. Anyways, no, that never happened.
If only. And although purple dominated the landscape, tiny patches of blue and red flowers grew all around, lining the ancient tree roots.
These are beautiful,
Twilight said, drawing close to sniff a blue flower. Sunset nodded.
You know, this little journey of ours hasn't been all bad. We've gotten to see some pretty baller stuff.
They got to see each other making out at one point.
Woo!
Probably more than one point. I can't remember at this point. This is chapter 20, man. Twilight shot her a furrow-browed glance.
Cool stuff.
Sunset corrected. She stooped down to examine a discarded brown feather leaning against a tree. It had to be as long as her arm.
Agreed.
Twilight leaned down, pushing her nose between some petals, and took a long whiff.
Like these. Yeah.
Sunset whipped her head around just in time to see Twilight stumbling backwards. Shimmering green vapor floating about her head. Twilight fell to her rear, and Sunset ran to help her.
Whoa, what happened?
Sunset asked.
Are you all right?
Twilight rubbed at her eyes, then looked up at Sunset. Her pupils had become wide as suns.
All right. Who are you?
Sunset waited for the smile, the laugh, but it didn't come.
I'm Sunset Shimmer,
she said as Twilight stared.
I'm your friend, remember? You fucking dick, you forgot about me already? Fuck you.
We had like 2 movies.
Aw, you remembered that it was only 2 movies that Twilight was in.
Okay,
that's
I
nice.
Thought there was 2 Equestria Girls movies. Were there 3?
There are 4.
Okay. And only 2 have Twilight?
Only 2 have regular Twilight.
Oh, okay. So
the others have side Twi.
Okay.
And then there are a bunch of specials with side Twi and stuff like that, but it doesn't matter.
I don't have any... What's wrong with my body?
Twilight cried, staring down at her human form. She rose to her feet, wobbling about ungracefully.
And where am I? What's going on?
Twi,
said Sunset, forcing her voice to stay steady. She tapped into her memory-searching powers and reached out.
Calm down, take a deep breath, and...
Get away from me,
Twilight said, jumping back, when Sunset tried to grab her again. Twilight scrambled away.
Leave me alone,
Sunset shouted out her name, but within seconds, Twilight had disappeared into the purple foliage. Cursing, Sunset ran after her.
Fuck.
Upstream error. Sunset climbed up and over a massive log. She squinted to see in the dim light, scanning every inch of the forest she could, but found no one. She hadn't cursed this much since middle school. I find that hard to believe.
Actually, yeah, me too. Where could Twilight be?
This forest was huge. How would Sunset ever have a chance of finding her? Sunset collapsed against a tree. Her throat burned. Her feet ached. Sweat rolled down every inch of her skin. She needed a break, even if for just a second. She closed her eyes and let the sounds of the forest swallow her. Then, in the distance, weeping. Sunset hated that sound.
Oh, fucking weeping. God, what a puss.
Shut up, I'm gonna throw a rock at you.
I'm gonna bully her.
Oh no, it's activated her inner instincts.
No matter how far she runs, she'll always revert back to her old self.
God. Imagine it's just like she has to control herself every time she hears like the chance to do something mean but funny.
You know what? That would make me love Sunset even more.
I want to see a fanfic that's like from her perspective, where it's like showing her thoughts in her head as she's like struggling to be nice like that. That would be interesting.
Yeah.
Sort of like the spoilers for BoJack Horseman episode. I'm not sure if you remember that one.
Yeah, it's one of the best episodes.
Yeah, have that for Sunset.
That's actually a really good idea. Maybe I'll write that.
Yes! Minutes later, Sunset stepped into a wide clearing. Dirt forest floor replaced by a sweeping stone plateau. Those feathers Sunset had noticed before littered the ground. And at the other end, slumped against a fallen branch, Twilight, sobbing. Twilight flinched when she noticed Sunset drawing close.
Go away,
Please,
said Sunset.
don't be afraid, Twilight. Let me help you.
Twilight sniffled.
Don't hurt me. I just want to go home.
Yeah,
Sunset nodded.
me too.
Twilight sat up a bit straighter.
Are you from Canterlot?
You know it.
Sunset sat down.
Went to PCSGU, too. Kelpie House. Studied elemental magic. You?
Magical applications?
Replied Twilight. She took a long breath.
None of this makes sense. 1 minute I was in the middle of a lesson, and now I'm here. What happened?
It's a long story. Like, at least 20 chapters. That's that classic Doves Rewatcher jokes that I love.
Yeah. I'm surprised I don't actually see more fourth wall breaking in fics.
Yeah. Well, I guess they just have respect.
I feel like this is one of the instances where it's perfect. I really appreciate this kind of joke.
Yeah. For 9, at least.
Well, how do we get back?
Sunset raised her palms, each one surrounded by a shining gold aura.
Just relax.
Twilight screamed and toppled over to her side. Sunset rolled her eyes and prepared another cuss, but stopped when she noticed the massive shadow enveloping them, even darker than nightfall. Praying for a trick of the moonlight, Sunset forced herself to turn around. All the breath left her lungs. Leaves and discarded feathers skittered about as a massive rock descended into the clearing, its vomit green eyes boring straight into Sunset's. A bloody porcine carcass hung from its talons, but soon hit the ground with a thump as the bird focused its attention on the two very alive, very meat-filled girls standing before it.
We should also mention that this is a rock from the mythology.
I thought ROC was a typo. Is this a creature?
It's a creature, yeah. Rock is a giant bird.
Oh.
I don't know if this was before or after the Moltdown, but a rock did feature in the Moltdown, which is the episode where Spike gets his wings.
Spike gets his wings in an episode?
Yep.
Just like Twilight. Oh my god, I didn't know that.
Yeah, it's very nice.
I always think of him more as like a little dinosaur boy, even though he's a dragon, because I think of him without wings.
Yeah, well, he's a dragon, so what is the mythology, actually? Let me see here. The rock is an enormous legendary bird of prey in the popular mythology of the Middle East, popularized in Arabian fairy tales and sailors' folklore.
It stood as tall as a house, with a wingspan rivaling an airliner. Sunset couldn't shout, couldn't talk, could barely breathe. The rock advanced, pinning the duo against a tree. It regarded them with a sort of bemusement, tilting its head this way and that. Twilight quaked.
What What do we do?
Forcing her mind to keep running, Sunset whispered.
On the count of 3, run. 1.
Just like earlier.
Oh, yeah.
With a screech, the rock thrusted its beak straight at Sunset's head. Both girls barely threw themselves out of the way before the rock's beak hit the tree behind them, tearing through the wood like a power drill.
Holy Celestia!
Was all Sunset could spit out before she was lifted off the ground and thrown through the air. She spun in freefall before landing on her side. Her chest felt like it might cave in as she rolled across the rocky ground. Yet, she could only muster one thought.
Where's Twilight? Also, ow. It was just where's Twilight. But I think also ow would be fair.
Yeah. Sunset opened her eyes and managed to smile when she saw the bird coming towards her again. Twilight stood far off, knees trembling, hands wringing.
Plan. Need a plan.
Sunset's thoughts shouted as the rock approached. It let out another screech, and this time dodging wasn't enough. The bird's beak caught the edge of her jacket and lifted her into the air again. She flailed and kicked, but all it earned her was another toss through the air. She landed hard on her ass and let out a pained cry.
Whoa, nice. I don't know why. That specific curse word is just so perfectly utilized here. I don't know.
You can't say another word there. You can say landed hard on her butt. That doesn't hit.
Just perfect. They figured it out.
Her rear had absorbed most of the impact, but something sharp in her pocket had dug into her skin. Collapsing, she pulled out the object.
The training teleporter.
No! It'd be like accidentally falling on your butt and remember your phone's in your back pocket.
Ugh. Yeah, I know that you've experienced that.
I haven't experienced that. I don't keep my phone in my back pocket.
Yeah, I know you've experienced that.
I would never put my phone in that pocket.
That is so you.
My phone would smell like butt after that. I can't have that.
Well, what does butt smell like? Out of curiosity.
Let's just say you either love it or you hate it.
We'll just have to try that later.
The rock reared up over Sunset, spreading its wings out to their full length, then squawked and flew out to the other side of the clearing, smoke trailing from its side. In its place now stood Twilight, holding a pair of flaming sticks.
Thermal energy wins again.
What did she do?
She used thermal energy for sticks to light them on fire. I don't know.
And then she lit the bird on fire with the sticks?
Maybe.
Twilight said, holding up her weapons. She scurried to Sunset and helped her off the ground.
Can you walk?
Yeah. I just need a few minutes. Whew.
Sunset took in a breath and nearly shouted at the sudden pain.
4 hours.
Oh, crushed ribs.
I don't think we have that long,
said Twilight. Across the clearing, the rock was tearing out its burnt feathers. They didn't have much time before it would be on the attack again, even angrier than before. And it took time for the training teleporter to activate. Sunset pressed the device into Twilight's hands.
You need to leave. I'll distract the bird. You just get to a safe distance, press the button here, hold it, and wait. You'll find some cops, and they'll help you. I hope.
Twilight stared.
But what about you?
The rock roared.
Run!
Sunset shouted. Clutching the teleporter tight, Twilight ran off into the forest. Sunset groaned as she rose to her feet. The bird returned and let out a horrifying shriek, louder than any before.
Come on.
Sunset said, closing her eyes.
Give me your best shot. Get home safe, Twilight.
Author's note. Dub's Rewatchers stories can be found here, baby. Had I even 500 words more, this chapter would have ended much differently. The only thing I knew I wanted to write about going into this was Twilight becoming an amnesiac and Sunset having to bring her memory back somehow. But as the collab went on, I found myself frustrated with the Accord storyline, as well as the training teleporter plot point. Yo, calling out the other writers. I really preferred the individual chapter universe hopping rather than a continuous storyline, so I came up with a plan to get back to where we'd started. Originally, I was going to show our heroes getting out of this situation by having Twilight activate the training teleporter, then throw it at the rock. thus teleporting both bird and machine to either Tyrek or Accord. That would save the girls, as well as allow them to get away from the Accord storyline and go back to universe hopping. But with the strict word count, I couldn't exactly get that far. So I figured, what the hell, I can deal with a little more Accord. And besides, who doesn't love a good cliffhanger? Thank you to Novel Idea for inviting me to this collab. And well done to all my fellow authors who contributed. You're all lovely.
Whew!
I gotta say.
That was... Sunlight Sliders chapters 18 through 20. Sorry, you go on.
I feel like the Accord storyline and like Tyrek and stuff, that stuff's been going pretty good.
Yeah.
There's been like some stuff I don't like about it, but if they if Dub's Rewatcher killed off that storyline, I don't know if I could forgive them.
Oof. Me neither.
We'd miss your wonderful Aeon voice.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know if Aeon's coming back. I hope so. So yeah, I really like these chapters. Yeah, awkward as it was reading that comic. Another pretty solid set from this story. I do think that the Dubs Rewatcher chapter, for some reason, has like one of the best fight scenes that we've read on this show. And maybe that's just because we haven't read many fight scenes on this show. It's only beaten out by the Witching Hour, honestly. So we need to read more stories involving fights.
I remember specifically writing on the wall, and the first couple chapters of this also had some pretty great fighting action scenes. But I do agree that this, like, the pacing and everything here felt perfect for a fighting scene.
Yeah, I think, damn, that was just perfect. But I really do wonder how we're going to get out of this one. And good luck to the next guy who picks this up.
Yeah.
Death Scar, I believe.
So right now they sort of have the ultimatum of they have to bring Tyrek and Sombra back to the Accord? Or is it like just Tyrek that they have to bring back?
I think it's just Tyrek.
Okay.
Let's see here. Okay, yeah, it's just Tyrek.
Okay.
Who, thank God, was not in this. Because I don't want to go another second trying to find the voice for that. Because I know that'll be annoying.
Yeah.
Let's remind each other to go look up Tyrek's voice from the other chapter before we do that again.
All right. It felt good to get through another few chapters of this, because that means we are almost finished, baby.
Hell yes. We've only got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 chapters left. I'll figure out how to split those up, I'm sure. Can't wait to read more Sunlight Sliders from Amber Spark. I thought it was, I think it's going in a great direction. That's me.
Yeah. I think that wraps everything up. So I will say good night, everybody.
Yeah, good night, everybody. Go read Worm by Wildbow.
Yes.
Unless you have a trigger at all. In which case, do not read Worm by Wildbow.
All right. See ya. Record. Did you know this is actually this 111th episode where I've said record?
Yeah. Yeah, I do know. I do know that.
It's actually the 112th!
Really?
Technically.
Is that so? So I'm pretty sure there have been some episodes where you didn't say record.
Oh yeah, that's probably true. It's probably more like the 107th.
Also, it is the 111th episode, so I don't know.
Yeah, I was just trying to make a point about there being a missing episode.
Ah, the missing episode. Checks out.